I love that. Every time, so not every time. Welcome to Ticket to Gamehendge. We're off and running. Uh, the robots are talking to us again. I don't know. You know what? You know what's funny is you've heard this saying before. The robots are going to take over one day, right? You've heard people say that.
Yeah.
Um,
Stupid.
People have that totally wrong because the robots have already won. You walk into any room, in any building, in anywhere, people are interacting with a robot just like you and I are right now. We're interacting with one another, but let's be honest. We're talking to each other through a robot. Whoever's listening to this, grandma, grandpa, are listening to us through their robots. Yes, even the grandmas and grandpas nowadays have robots. We've actually had robots a long time, but people are just now finally starting to get it. Um, some people believe that Mike Gordon is a robot, but I don't.
Cactus.
Cactus,
Is
yeah.
he, what would you call a half plant, half robot? Because it's not android.
A half plant, half robot. It's a. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
It's a plantroid.
Oh,
This might be the worst joke I've ever come up with.
yeah.
Maybe
Look,
not.
look at the
Um,
surprise on my face when you said that.
mhm, mhm. I'm really excited to watch the cactus tonight, but we'll get into that in a little bit because you probably won't watch that until Thursday night.
That's right. You just made my day.
You forgot?
That's amazing. I forgot.
Or as my oldest daughter, who's still grappling with the English language, would say, "You forgot it."
I forgot it. He heard it. Our Betty says that too.
Yeah.
He hurted me.
Yeah. Where do they hear that shit? Anyway, so yeah, maybe we'll jump in and talk about that real quick, and then we'll get into our, I guess, our main topic. But yeah, 7/24/93 is
Oh,
tonight.
so good.
Tonight, quite a few things I'm excited for. Number one, I'm really truly going in blind. I don't know jack about this show, other than the venue. Pretty big for this era of Phish.
Right. Yep.
Right, when I one of the things I did just not too long ago was I took a look at that tour, the 93 summer tour, and its sort of trajectory. I just kind of breezed through re-listen, and I was looking at the ratings of all the shows, and in the first half of the tour it's the strongest rated show, but the second half of that tour, as I progressed through 93, the ratings go up. Very interesting time for the band too. They really changed their sound from beginning to end of 93. Evidently this is the time where how they practice and what they practice really changed. The focus on type 2 jamming really became more evident during that time. So I'm really excited for tonight to watch it. So I don't and the show's not on Live Fish. I mean, I think the only previously released recordings of it are like re-listen taper shows. So yeah, any thoughts? You just excited too?
I'm just pumped, man. You totally made my day. I totally forgot. Um, and the same. I love having the visuals. I think it's so much better being able to see the boys.
Mhm.
Even like the camera quality is not always the best. It's one shot, panning in and out. But I don't know, man. There's something to be said about watching them do their thing. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and I guess last week we were I guess talking about dinner and a movie and speculating whether or not this was it. Are we nearing the end with the tour getting underway in a couple of months? And just reading the language in the post, it kind of reads as though this is just another episode and there could be more to come.
I
Um,
read, I read it the same way.
and I think more and more of the fans are going to be scrutinizing those types of messages to kind of find out to indicate. And let's be honest, I think although they keep us guessing on a lot of things, they're very clear in the direction and the message. I think if and when it's over, they'll let us know if and when it's over. I don't think it's the type of thing that'll fizzle out and just randomly disappear.
Again, we chatted about it last week. I just don't see the downside to bringing more attention to what you're doing.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it's just sitting there archived.
Hmm.
They have plenty of it to release it with still being able to make money off it on the end if they want. But like,
Yeah.
let's be my understanding of the music business is you make the most amount of money when you're on tour. So
Hmm.
if this like helps people get to know the band and then want to go on tour and see the shows, like that's just a gateway. That's a gateway
Yep.
marketing, right?
I'm gonna make a bold prediction.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Bold prediction. One of the shows this summer will be offered up for free to everybody to stream online.
Oh, for sure. I don't think
Oh,
that
that's not bold. That's just
yeah,
formal.
I don't think that's bold. I
Do
think
they,
that
have they done that in the past?
no, that just makes sense to me. That just makes sense to me.
Maybe they tie it into a charity type thing, right? So that there is more of a purpose behind it other than just, hey, this is us. But yeah, yeah, we have to make sure that we plan some things out and get together for those.
Well, we have the plan. The plan is we're couch touring,
Right.
right? But it would be nice to like actually get together in the same
Yeah.
place a couple times,
Right.
right? I mean, it's not hard. We're
No,
close.
we're not that far. We're not that far.
Well, 40 minutes is nothing. So
So yeah, so really excited for that tonight. I reckon I'll get through the whole thing. That's my goal. I've been off for a few days, so I've been getting up later and staying up later. So I think I can make it.
yeah.
And yeah, I would anticipate some really, really good VHS quality recording, but as long
Tracking.
as the audio is good, you know.
Oh, whoever mixes these things, and I don't look. This is more like your area. I'd like to look into like the engineer and the producer and the mixer are, but like they do a fantastic job.
Well, their live mixer right up until the end of 2.0 was Languedoc himself. So, whether they took his master from the show and then, remix it from there, I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps a little bit of touching up with some more state of the art technology, perhaps. But
I wonder what the the thought at the time was. Like now it's nice to have all these masters available, but I wonder why they were recording at the time that they were recording. I wonder if it was to have it, or if there was or if the guys wanted to listen to it after to see like how they played. I wonder what the thinking of it at the time was.
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of artists that obviously do that. The Dead comes to mind, and which, by the way, I have listened to a couple more of their shows and really, really enjoying that nice little departure from Phish, but in the same realm in some senses, I suppose. But yeah, really, really group into that. Anyway, but it's really highly documented with Zappa and how anal retentive he was with his recordings. The Dead, of course. Dave has recorded stuff since pretty much day one. Um, I know one of Dave's takes on it was they always kind of knew that they were growing their audience through live music.
Yeah.
And through that, and with the unpredictability of set lists and the way that they would structure their shows, similar to Phish, although different, but similar in that sense, um, there were shows that were a surprise to everybody and they wanted to be able to capture those, but they never knew when they're going to happen because they happen organically. Therefore, if you record them all, you'll capture those special ones that happen, and those were the ones that would get released. Because when a band like that would sign a record deal, right, depending on the deal itself, it might include live albums, it might just include total releases, and releasing live albums was a way to sort of fill your quota, right? So it could be some of that. It could be for personal reflection and hey, we want to be able to listen back to ourselves. They're obviously aware that the fans were doing it and there was a hunger and an appetite for it, right? Because they're bringing all their own taping equipment to the shows, and that was what really helped them organically spread, similar to Dave and the Dead and countless other bands. So I'm sure it's all kind of mixed in with that.
I'm asking too because knowing the type of, at least from what I've heard, I'm speaking like I know this person, but hearing the type of individual that Paul Languedoc is, he sounds like somebody who has a lot of, and I'm using this in quotations because I don't feel this way, but like a lot of like odd intricacies. And it seems like he's the type of person who, if you were to put in charge of something like sound, he would throw all of his energy and effort at it to get it to the best possible quality, which would require recording and listening.
Well, everything that I've read or heard about Paul Languedoc aligns with that. The level of detail and pride and precision he brought and brings to just about everything he does. That at least that I'm aware of. I mean, I don't know him, but I remember listening in various podcasts talking about how he demanded, or not demanded, but made sure that the road crew and everything that they did was to the best of their ability. That he wanted the Phish crew to be known from venue to venue, because these guys have their main crew. Then they go to, say, SPAC, and the SPAC crew jumps in and helps them set up all the rigs. They have to work together with these guys from place to place to place. And he wanted to make sure that they were the best road crew, the most efficient, the most, on top of everything, that the quality of their shows and the sound was great and all of that stuff. And then look at the way he builds his guitars. I mean, you can see, we talked about it months ago, when, funny enough, we're going to get to hear it soon, the new 4.0 Koa Languedoc guitar that Trey has. So it's and part of me thinks too that a guy like that would be investing in his own development within that realm, know what type of equipment is available, and because of that, maybe have the ability and the foresight to kind of see where tech is going, or was going. If you think about, one of the things that I bring up with Phish, when people when I kind of inadvertently bring them up in conversation, maybe advertently, uh, one of the things that I kind of toss at them that always impresses them about Phish is that Phish was really the first to market streaming music platform.
Yeah.
No, and they were years before the main guys that are, have really taken over all of our phones. Spotify wasn't even, Apple Music wasn't, the iPod wasn't even really a huge thing yet. When they did that, when they came back for 2.0, you're able to get every show from then on through your computer. You could stream it, you could download it, sync it to an MP3 player, listen to it on the go. And then it's evolved into the convenience we have now. You tap and listen to, like, I'm listening to Super Bowl right now, and it's just fucking awesome. So
It really is.
it's maybe there was the foresight there, that clearly our fans have an appetite for our live shows. So why wouldn't we keep all this? And it's I'm just incredibly happy that it has happened the way that it's happened. It's and I'm sure there's a ton of bands that look back and go, damn it, why weren't we doing that? Why didn't we understand that part of the music business better?
I actually don't think that at all.
Oh, really?
I don't think when you look at the amount of bands, the formula has been pretty clear on how you get popular. You write a hit song, you get a big record contract, and you get played on the radio. And essentially, we don't want to do the work; we just want to be the artists, And then, I mean, there are lots of bands that are DIY, but these guys have just done it to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just like, and maybe this is going to require some research in another episode, but what are the bad decisions that Phish has made? What are the bad business decisions? Is it breaking up? Is it not? I don't know, but they've done a lot of things really, really, really well. But every business, every group, every team, they're not perfect. They make bad choices. What do you think some of those might be?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to define what a bad choice is.
Okay. Well,
right?
Yeah.
Right, because I don't know, man. For me, because I'm in business, right? It's never a bad choice if you learn something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, do you measure by profit? Do you measure by, like, what's your standard of how you're going to measure, right? Because I mean, when it comes down to like making music and having fun, it's kind of, you got to be really clear on what you're trying to get out of all these things. And once you understand the metrics that you're trying to hit, then I mean, the decisions become a lot easier to make. I'm sure not every decision has been financially astute, or maybe that was one of those ones where they're like, well, we just feel like it should be this way, and then long term it ends up being like a really smart decision.
Yeah.
But like getting started in music, like learning how to play a song like a million different ways, and spending the hours learning how to improvise, like I think we forget how different and how unique that was. Like when you first hear that, and when you first hear this band play, you're just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And it's led to, much like the Dead, because I mean, Phish was not the first band that started playing original shows, but like it's led to the same type of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, just a quick little sidebar. we've talked many, many times about how Phish has trained us to listen to music differently, right? And every night when we're putting our daughters to bed, we brush their teeth, and we usually play a 1 or 2 minute video to keep their attention while we brush their teeth. And now they're starting to brush their own teeth. And Megan found this little, it's like a 1.5 minute Netflix video montage, but the song that plays in it goes from the kind of like an upbeat, like, and then quickly sort of changes and segues into a much more slower paced, almost like a reggae style of a beat, and then back into a faster beat. And the first couple times we listened to it, I just went along with it and it didn't bother me. It was just kind of like, oh, this is interesting. It just seemed different. And I kind of liked it because of that.
Yeah.
But it threw Megan off. She was like, oh, is this so weird how she kind of called it out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. Bad business decisions, good business decisions. They're in a really, really good place, and obviously more good than bad. And you're right. I mean, in a band, when your business is built around creativity, the types of metrics and the types of things that you would have and what you would measure it by, in some cases, could be immeasurable. Because look at even how the music has gone, right? Stuff that they did in '93 is going to hit somebody new tonight and bring them in a different way, right? And that wasn't the goal on that July evening in 1993, that they're going to get somebody on a computer screen in 2021. But it's how it's going to go for them because they've been able to sustain and stay around through good business.
Again, I think it comes back to a lot of that. You look at the decisions and the recordings and the stuff that I was watching. Do you know who Rick Beato is?
Rick Beato, yeah. So not very, very well. We watched we recommended the YouTube video that he did when he broke down the December version of Waste, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes. So
Yeah, he's a producer, session player guy, right? Has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, seems like a really nice man. He does this thing where he listens to the top 10 playlists on Spotify. He'll do like pop music and rock music, and he'll listen and he'll just like comment on like where the bands are at. Like he knows a lot of the musicians. He's recorded with some of them and stuff like that. And can't remember if it was him or somebody else talking about like the Black Album, for Metallica, and how like that was like Metallica's foray into like stadium rock.
Yeah.
Like
popular, like front page of magazines, and they were everywhere. They were so ubiquitous. Yeah.
Right. So like that's the thing, right? So now I think when it comes to a decision like that, to write the Black Album, I think, it would seem like, and again, forgive me because I don't know all the details. It would seem like your trajectory and what's important to you as a band creatively has changed to make that type of a decision. But with Phish, it seems like since day one, all of the big vision things have always been the same and have always been in place. And when they've lost their way from that, right? Like when Trey jokes about like, oh, we were busy playing Rockstar and we forgot, like we were in this to make music and to have fun. I think that would be, again, was it bad? Probably at the time when you think the band's going to break up. But like looking back, you have to have that moment because then you remember and you strengthen what's actually important to you, right? Where you look at like Metallica, like after the Black Album, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, you guys are popular, but I don't know. I didn't love anything that came. I didn't love the Black Album or anything that came after the Black Album. So, just a hardcore kid that grew up with you saying that.
Yeah. I think they've been able to tour off of the success of that era, probably better than any other band. They have obviously their fans and they've come out with a lot of new music since then, but nothing. That's a peak that you can't get back to. I mean, that's I don't know of another rock band that reached that level of world fame. Like that tour to support that album went on for something like 2 or 3 years. Like it was just relentless. And yeah, their sound never has really gone back to the albums that built up to that.
Nor should it.
No,
right? Like,
I guess not.
But I'm just saying, I think the vision changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with bands like Phish and the Dead and Dave Matthews and the bands that played because they love the music, I don't think the vision's ever changed, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I think you're basing, because I'm already trying to think of like standards based on what would you classify as a bad decision. I think you might be able to classify changing your band sound as a bad decision.
if it doesn't make the band, well, yeah, I mean, if it makes the band less successful, or
Well, if you're trying for success, right? Because now the hard part is now if you're changing your sound because you're trying to pander, like this is where people get called sellouts, right?
yeah,
Because
of
they're
course,
trying to
yeah,
pander to what's popular, right? If you change your sound because you want to change your sound, good for you, man, respect, right? But if you're changing your sound because you're trying to like stay in with the cool crowd, you know, now you
yeah,
start now you're in sellout territory, man.
right, right, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Wasn't Green Day accused of doing that early on,
I think so.
like when they broke with Dookie and then kind of went from there?
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm, mm. What about Chili Peppers? Haven't they gone down that path too?
I think so.
Like early on, probably. But I guess, like in order to make it as a band, like you have to go from a small scene to a big scene. Like you're going to grow. So I wonder if it's just based on that. I don't know enough about their history, but I know. I don't know. Hey, what do you think about that whole adage of like, I only like their old stuff? Just the way people think about music in general, or how people react when their favorite band gets too big. What do you think about that?
So if it's because a band got too big for doing what they did really well, I think you're being an idiot,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? If a band gets big because they've changed their sound or they've sold out, I get that.
Mm,
I think a lot of the ways that we remember music is we remember the emotions that came along when we first heard it. So we have to be really careful when we're listening to new stuff. We're not the same people,
yeah.
right? That like listened like once upon a time. I think this is what people do with Phish all the time. Everyone's pining for the 1.0 days, but they're not single individuals trying to conquer the world. Like they've changed, they're writing different music, and we're in different places. Like we're not college kids going on tour now, all summer with
Yeah.
like jobs that we can easily quit. Like there's like serious responsibilities. So I think things have moved on. So I don't know, man. I think you have to be really careful how you what you're phrasing it and what your standards are for liking their old stuff versus they're still awesome.
Sure. Okay. I think that's fair. It's a good
What do you
point. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's a good way to phrase it up. It's just like a lot of things in that realm, it's a difficult thing to quantify, right?
Sure.
Right? So, um, something that's a little bit easier, maybe not easier to quantify, but something we're exploring is BTS, the show before the show. So we all very are well aware of 11/17/97, aka Live Fish 11, very popular release. But it was recommended by Dr. K for me to listen to 11/16/97, night one of McNichols Arena in Denver back in 97. And you wanted to speak specifically about the second set. The second set, a 5-song set, dirty. It's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. And just to quickly kind of come back to last week, I briefly brought up that I made a playlist of the originals of a lot of Phish's popular cover songs that they play. And Timber, aka Jerry the Mule, the original version is it's very, very different from Phish. And for those of you that, I'm sure you all know it, but it's just a really good example of the musicianship that this band can bring to a song, and really, kind of make it their own, but still really stay really true to the original. It's evident it's the same song, but it's evident it's Phish doing it. So, really great version of Timber. Love that. That's a song that's been growing on me a lot in the time I've been really, back on the train in the past couple of years.
So here's my bold statement. I think that timber is one of the most important timbers that Phish has ever played in their whole career. And here's why. I'm listening to the Phish Takes Over America tour,
Mm-hmm.
which gets kicked off on my birthday, November the 13th, 97. And yeah, the first shows are good. The first shows are good. I listened to the first set of that show that I recommended, and it was good. And then they played Timber, and I'm like, this is kind of a lifeless Timber. I'm like, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I wasn't impressed. And then they dropped by the way, I have a question. Don't let me forget to come back and ask you this question.
Okay.
They dropped Timber, and then they transitioned into a Frankie Says
Tease.
tease,
Yeah.
and then they drop into Simple, And not only is the rest of the fucking goddamn show power, but the rest of the tour explodes from there. Because the next night you have the famous one, and then the night after, and then the night after, I'm like, this, I want to stab a knife into my eyeballs. It's ridiculous. And it all started, that's the moment that it started.
Yeah. Okay. What's your question?
My
I
question,
agree. Okay, great.
my question is, this is a little bit off topic, but when does a tease become more of a tease and they played the song?
I think it's a good question. And I think I have an answer.
Oh, enlighten me.
Well, okay. I'm already backtracking on my criteria. What I was just about to say was when more than one of the band members jumps in and plays it along. But that's not true because they'll stay within the framework of a song,
Right.
tease the riff for 4 bars, 8 bars, and then back into it.
Because
So
I would have, at that show specifically, I would have said, like when I looked, because I didn't look at the playlist till after, it says Timber and then it says Simple. And I'm like, no. It should say Timber, Frankie Says, and then Simple.
I think this is one of those arguable debates. It's something that I've been kind of thinking about in the background and bring up for a while that I haven't, and not that it's a big deal because really, what are we really arguing about? But one of the things a lot of fans take a lot of pride in their favorite versions of songs is the length, right? It's a classic compensation thing, quality versus quantity. And one of the things that I noticed in the early 3.0 track listings and a lot of the shows that I'm listening to is there's just a track that's called Mansfield Jam or whatever jam. But in the later 3.0 shows, you don't see that. Those jams are lumped in the track listing with the same song. So I think to answer your question, I think part of it comes down to who is the person who's writing that and putting that down. That could ultimately come down to the original person whose taper version we all listen to through that app or God or whatever, and the notes that they put in there. If they decided to write Frankie Says, I'll bet you it would just be in the track listing. Now, it could be a David Steinberg thing. I don't know. You know, David Steinberg is Data.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's sort of the sort of guy that people would defer to on stuff like that. But really, that's what kind of makes Phish fun to talk about is this sort of stuff, right? It's so nerdy. It's so, but hey, that's cool.
Either way, going back to it, that is like the moment. And then after that, it's like no looking back, man. The rocket ship has taken off. We are taking over America.
Okay, so to back it up a couple steps, you texted me yesterday and previewed this part of this topic you wanted to talk about, and you didn't tell me why it was so important. But I hadn't listened to it yet, so I went into it knowing that you were thinking that. So then, of course, I'm listening to it going, what is it? Like, what is it that's in this? What is so good about it? And when I heard the transition, I figured, okay, that was part of it. And I just happened to find the perfect meme to send you, too. It just was, I love that one.
I love that one.
Yeah. Just like the slow, delayed reaction. What is happening here? And then what? And anyway, but when I was listening to the Timber Jam, I was going, okay, what is it about this? And one of the things that I thought of was around that time, Trey was doing a lot of that, and I don't know what to call it, that sound, that
loops?
Yeah, and that sort of fed through a lot of that set. And I wondered if that had anything to do with it or what. But so maybe you're encouraging me to go back and listen to that tour. I listened to a lot of the shows from that tour, but not all of them, not in a row like that. Here's a question. If you're going through that tour, not all the shows are on the app. Are you listening to all of them on taper versions, or are you going to the better version when you get to that in order on the app?
I'm listening to every show, whether it's not the best quality, doesn't matter. I need to hear like the actual show now.
Okay, but so 11/17/97 is on.
Yeah, listen to the app. I listen to the Phish.
Okay, you're not going to listen to the taper version of it. No. And what if you get a different? Well, tough to say. I guess it's the same music, but
I've listened to 11/17 so much in my life. It's probably one of the shows that I've listened to the most because it was available for us, right? And it was one of the first shows. Like that show was crazy, man. That's an all-time ghost. And I think the first set is so good. I think the first set is so good that the second set is amazing. The Denver Jam is awesome, and You Enjoy Myself is so awesome. It's underrated. Like the second set just kind of goes unnoticed.
Mm.
So good.
Something in the air in Colorado, right? Those guys have a special place in their heart for it. So
I don't know what happened, man, but it was almost like they made that decision when Simple started, and then they were like, "Fuck it, now's the time. Like, we're good. We're good."
mm.
You know?
Well, I think, there's even a comment about this morning that I was reading on Reddit about just sort of predictions for the tour and hopes and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of those right now.
I bet.
Everybody's still very excited and or pissed off they didn't get tickets and go into Plan B, and it's all part of the game, I guess. But um, damn it, I just lost my train of thought. What was I about to talk about?
You're talking about people posting about the hopes for the tour.
Yeah, and just about how the typical evolution of a tour is the first few shows is kind of get the like get the rust out and get grooving, and by show 4, 5, 6, you really get into it. And let's be honest, the fall tour, like I'm so excited for that. That's gonna be fire, dude. They're doing 13 shows over 16 days.
I
That's
know.
what they did for Baker's Dozen.
I know.
That's like October's gonna be like I almost want to take 2 weeks of vacation in October just to every night be able to watch that. It's yeah, that's gonna be fire, and they're gonna be, yeah, I'm really really excited about that. And it's gonna be a really exciting month. A lot of hype, a lot of hype for the Halloween shows.
We just like as we're because I know that there's probably not that much left to talk about, but can we just talk about like the health of these guys to want to pull off something like that?
I was thinking about that too. To be honest with you, that's and to compare it to Baker's Dozen, it's nearly 4 years ago. B, that was in the same venue every night, no travel, not having to go
Oh,
from place to place and set up.
set up exactly.
Right, like that's a pretty big undertaking. So, yeah, I know wellness is a key important thing with the band. So hopefully, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. But I wonder if they'll have to make some concessions or some changes, or if we'll see any. I wonder. I wonder.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be pretty standard fare. I think people are just going to be super excited that it's back.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, like all of us. So, yeah, the only other thing I had on here, and it's really nothing in particular, is I'm listening to Super Bowl. And anytime I listen to a festival, it really, really puts me in a good mood. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, nothing really crazy special for me. I'm on day two, 45 tracks on day two, right? Because they do the bonus set and everything else. Like, imagine just one full day of that much Phish, let alone 3 days. Oh, can't imagine. I wouldn't be at all surprised if they do a festival next year, right?
Neither would I.
What's that?
Neither would I.
Yeah. What was the last one they did? 28.
Well, they had that one. What
Was
was it called?
scheduled and canceled was 2018.
Yeah,
I think it was what 20 Magna Ball, right? 2015.
I think
Because
so.
they didn't Baker's Dozen sort of compensated a little bit in terms of the amount of music, but like not really a dedicated go to the middle of nowhere and set up a circus.
I think going to Baker's doesn't would have been awesome. I love New York City. I could have easily spent a month and a half
Yeah.
in New York City.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, apart from like VIPs and people that are in with the band, if there's really anybody that was able to get tickets to all 13 nights and see them all. I'm sure there's a small handful of people, but those were tough tickets to get.
I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but on to really, really good stuff that's coming up. So any new recommendations for the next week? Or you're just going to keep plowing through fall of 97?
I'm taking over America. What about you?
I'm still continuing in 2011, but yeah, I'm listening to the Dead a little bit more. I just like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I've been getting a little bit myopic and wanted to change it up a little bit. Not that I'm going too far away, but uh,
Are you listening on Spotify, or are you going through like tours and shows?
I've got Apple Music going, so I just picked some. Like I listened to Cornell again. I listened to Red Rocks
Yeah.
78, I want to say it was. Listened to Europe Volume. What was that one that I sent you? Volume 1 or Volume 6?
Not
Well,
volume one. Volume one was the official release.
yeah,
Tapes that they had that they never put out.
yeah,
But now that like you have Spotify, you can put out new music constantly, right?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't do Spotify. We do Apple Music, which I'm finding is really not that great. Like Apple Music's just I don't know. It's
What? Okay.
good.
What makes you say? Because like people are like, I don't like Spotify. I don't like App. Like what?
That's a good question. Well, I think it all comes down to what it recommends me based on other things that I've listened to. It
Yeah.
doesn't do a good job of that. And they did an update. I used to like it, to be honest with you. They did an update. I don't know if it was the last iOS update or what, but it completely changed it all.
Yeah.
And what shows up on the screen and what's available, I don't know. I just doesn't recommend the right kind of thing for me.
Okay.
Or it leeches onto one little thing. Like I play a song from Blippi for one of the kids, and then boom, it thinks that I want to listen to everything Blippi's ever put out. Who, by the way, is really prolific. Blippi drops like an album a month.
One parent put out a meme. It said, it was like, for all the parents out there, I'm just gonna say it. Blippi's got some bangers,
Oh man.
and they're not wrong. Whoever writes,
No.
whoever writes the dude's music knows how to write a song, because I got listen and I'm like, this is no worse than popular music right now.
The best, I will say it time and time again, the best, and I really hope this isn't a code for something racist, but the best kids group that I've seen is Cuckoo Kangaroo, which is KKK, but I don't think that has anything to it. Cuckoo Kangaroo. There's these two guys that were clearly, what's that?
Prestige comedy classics.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're these two guys that were clearly camp counselors, and they write catchy tunes, and they're prolific. They're funny. Like adults find it funny, but anyway. So that's what I listen to: Cuckoo Kangaroo, Phish, a little bit of the Dead, and whatever other crap plays at my school.
Dude, my kids are like, you should see the stuff my kids are into, man. They listen to like adult music. They like that song "Astronaut in the Ocean."
What song is that?
It's this hip hop song.
Is it? Is it popular?
Yeah, it's really popular.
Okay.
They listen to, like, there's all these TikTok songs, you know, because we got to watch TikTok, which is like the worst thing ever. But there's all these TikTok songs now that they listen to. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But they do like music, so that's good. And they do listen to some Phish, which is good.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Music is a good thing. Both
like Rochelle was listening to in the car. She was listening to Deer Creek 95, and the first song is Theme from the Bottom. The opening Theme from the Bottom.
Your favorite.
And she was like, "Yeah, it was the best, my favorite one." She's like, "We were just grooving. Like the windows were open, the kids were just grooving."
So, quick little story. Yesterday, I had to run out and do a couple things, and lately that's become the thing with my oldest daughter, Grace. She likes to come with me for a quick little go and get gas. I drive out to the reserve to get gas because it's 15 cents cheaper, and it's worth it. It's close enough. So we're going out, and what do you want to listen to? Blippi. Okay. So we listen to Blippi. The playlist ends, and I said, okay, what do you want to listen to now? I didn't give her multiple choice. She said Phish music. Phish music. Boom. And of course, I was listening to Super Bowl, Tweezer. It's great. We're grooving. Windows down. Beautiful day. It was awesome. It was great. It was great. So, yeah, it got me in that summer tour mode. Right. It's still 64 days away. 9 weeks from tomorrow. By the time people listen to this, so yeah, that's exciting.
Dude, that's this, man. That's this.
Oh, it's a blank. It's a blank.
We've been locked down for a year and a half. 9 weeks is nothing.
Yeah. Well, and really, in what we got about 3.5, 4 weeks until Trey's 3-night stand at SPAC. So we'll get a little bit of new music soon. Not the same, but something new nevertheless. Maybe some new tunes, tease some ideas for the tour. We'll see.
I'm just interested to hear for that specifically. I'm interested to hear what he has to say. Like I'm interested like what his headspace is at, and you know, I want to hear stuff about Tony and.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay,
cool.
Lots to look forward to. Have fun watching Thursday night. Maybe I'll live blog at you tonight, but I won't spoil anything.
So just so we're clear, it's now Wednesday and Thursday night.
Oh.
Watch, yeah, because the kids aren't home Wednesday night and Thursday, right? They're at my parents' house. So I'm like, yo, let's just watch set one. She's like, okay, let's do it. I'm like, done.
There you go. Okay, well, enjoy.
I will.
All right, have a good week.
See you, bud.